of them. You're wasting all your time and money on models. Paint what you have.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 99 of Model Club TV. As always, my lovely co-host, Scott Johansson. I'm Jason Walker. How are you, sir?
I'm good, and let's not forget.
Oh, Trixie's here.
Trixie.
Yeah. Seems very excited to be here. Hello, everybody. We hope you've had a great couple weeks here. What's up? How are you, Scott?
Tired.
Yeah.
The heat got me today.
So we are recording Monday, the 26th.
Very late.
Very late. Hot outside
During our
today.
interview, you'll see me having dinner because I forgot we were recording tonight. So I was nice enough to mute.
Yes, thank you. We did not get to hear the chewing noises or the burps, which is fantastic. So thank you
Well, that
for
might
being
still come.
considerate.
That might still come.
Couple quick just announcements. A model in a movie is delayed. I know Scott is upset about this because he watches every episode of A Model in a Movie with Brian and I. Brian and I both went back to work. We got a lot going on. Brian has even more to talk about when we get to it, but the next episode of Model in a Movie will be a live episode. We just don't know when, and look at Scott making fun. He's jealous deep down.
Okay, wait a minute. When I was off, you let that ape substitute for me.
Oh no, it's not because he's out. It's because we both haven't. I couldn't physically fit the episode.
I would have gladly substituted and made.
No, it wasn't that. There has been no time to do the episode between.
Because I would have made you watch a good movie.
I watched one of the movies so far. This is it. I haven't had time to watch movies, and I really liked the one we watched. One of them, a good solid B+. So. Anyway, so that's that. Barbecue 2 is coming up. By the time this episode comes out on the 30th, it'll be just a little bit before the barbecue. So if you do need an address still, talk to Scott, talk to me. We'll get you there. If anyone else, it is not too late to RSVP.
It is by the time the episode comes out.
There'll be an extra hot dog. If you feel like coming, you live in the area, let us know. Other little paperwork things. Like, subscribe, and share our lovely podcast to your friends, your families. We're still growing a little bit every episode, so that's good to see. And I fully expected to kind of just bottom out here like I do on, I almost made a mom joke. I almost did a mom joke, but I didn't. So let the record show I was kind to Scott's dead mother.
That's all right. I'm not kind to your live mother. I bottom out all the time. Which, by the way, even my sister-in-law said, "Hey, what's going on? You haven't had any mom jokes in a while." I said, "Well, they had a death in the family."
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So our guest this episode. We've hit the. It's 10 o'clock. Jason can't say anything after 10 o'clock.
Mumbles is here.
Mumbles is out because I talk all day long, and then
Mumbles is in the building.
All right. Our guest this episode is Mike Meyer of Rise 3D Build. Builds. It changed from Rise 3D Printing to Rise 3D Builds. So if you're confused,
slide for shit's sake.
What did you say?
Hold on.
I got it. It's Rise 3D Builds. It's right there.
Yeah. Okay.
I just keep saying it wrong. Our guest this episode is Mike Meyer of Rise 3D Builds. This is the fourth time of us doing it, Mike, because I have Rise 3D Printing in my brain and I have mumble mouth because it's now after 10 p.m. when we're recording. So great little interview. We get to talk a little bit of Warhammer, 3D printing, new stuff he's got coming out. What else? I think we're good. What's new with you, Scott? Any drama? Anything going on? Any life changes?
Yes.
What's your life change? Menopause? What are you talking about?
Yes. I turned 61.
I was going to say, your birthday was last week.
Yes, it was.
Happy birthday, Scott.
Yeah. And for the record, Jason is not my life partner. I could do so much better than him.
Oh, my feelings. How dare you?
Right?
How dare you break up with me while we're recording?
Yeah, that's what I did.
My feelings. Did you do anything fun for your birthday?
Yeah, great. Yeah, 11,000 steps at Brookfield Zoo with grandkids and what have you. So it's
Cool.
a nice day.
That's a good day. I think as an old man, oldish man, that's a good birthday. Grandkids, the zoo. That's kind of what you want. Be left alone, hang out with the family, watch, look at some gorillas. How was Brookfield Zoo, by the way?
Brookfield Zoo is changing.
I'd like to hear this.
They're modern.
I don't think anyone else in our audience gives a crap.
Well, they're modernizing. Brookfield Zoo was the same from the time I was a kid till.
Except, go ahead.
Well, like I remember when they built the big Tropic World.
I was going to say until Tropic World, and then they start. Yes,
but they still had some of the older houses, and they slowly started to renovate some of the older houses and other things. But like where the bears used to be, they've got a whole new enclosure.
That North American thing is really cool. Yeah.
So they're slowly getting rid of the old enclosures, which at the time were good enclosures.
Yeah.
I did not see any pachyderms. Pachyderm?
Elephants?
Well, they don't. No, they don't. They haven't had elephants for years, but not a lot of zoos do now in North America have elephants. Believe it or not. Which I get, but it's a shame that kids don't get a chance to see the elephants because to me it's educational. And if you provide the elephant a good home, you keep it maybe from being poached in the wild. I don't know. There's arguments.
Wait a minute. Have I ever told the story about how I almost got killed by an elephant at Lincoln Park Zoo?
No, do tell.
I've never told this story. So I'm on a date. This is
okay. I don't think she's gonna like you calling her an elephant, but okay.
No, she wasn't. I met this girl. What year was this? 99 maybe? I don't even know. There were still elephants at Lincoln Park Zoo at the time. And she was a veterinarian. So I'm like, let's go to the zoo. That sounds like an awesome place to go with a veterinarian for a first date. So we're walking through Lincoln Park and there's this big commotion of like people like, oh my, you hear all this noise. There's a big crowd and it's right in front of the elephant pen outdoor enclosure. And we're like, what the heck is going on? And this elephant is basically throwing a fit behind, like inside the pen area. And I look, I'm like, what the heck does that thing have in its trunk? And so this elephant, I had to have told this story. If you've never heard it, maybe not. So he had like a giant piece of metal that was shaped like a hockey stick that had a giant nut on the end of it, like that you would screw off. So he must have broke it off of a fence or somewhere, got this giant piece of metal. Not kidding, like 6 foot, big hook on the end with a giant nut on the end. And this elephant is they had, aren't you glad you came to Model Club TV for elephant stories? Because I feel like Uncle Lair, little Tommy. So there's like telephone poles cut as like a fence around to protect the trees. And he was taking that piece of metal and putting it between, trying to wrench out these pieces of like telephone pole. So the elephant goes to the back of the pen and it turns around and it looks right at me. And I'm telling, there was probably 100 people around this thing. And this elephant is looking right at me. And it just starts running full speed. And there's just that little moat between the elephant and the people. There's no fence. There's nothing else. There's like a little like waist high fence on our side. So this elephant is running full speed and everyone starts backing up. And I slowly push the girl in front of me and start backing up too. The elephant stops dead at the moat. And as he stops dead at the moat, launches this metal bar, and it starts going end over end, like, whoo, whoo, whoo. And I see it coming right for me. And I'm just like pushing, like backing up, pushing this girl in front of me. And it catches, the little hook just catches the fence just by a little bit and clangs it down and knocks it down. Next thing, the trainers or whatever, the zookeepers come out and like whip that elephant like into the thing. And I'm just like, everyone's like, holy crap, we almost died from this elephant launching metal.
You didn't
at
almost
us.
die.
The girl almost did.
But your date almost did.
Yeah.
So you are George Costanza.
Oh, I'm totally George Costanza.
Was there a second date?
No, but that was because of me.
I don't imagine it.
There could have been a second date. I can't tell the rest of the story live. Recorded. So, I'm very picky. Scott's crying for some reason.
The elephant threw something in my eye.
Oh, no. You want us to stop?
No, we're okay.
Okay. So that's my elephant story at Lincoln Park Zoo. But I spent so much time at Brookfield Zoo with my grandma. Like, that's like home to me. So I'm very familiar with Brookfield. Like, my grandma's a season pass holder, like a donor and all that stuff. And I love Brookfield Zoo. But lately, it was looking very old. So it's good to hear they're kind of doing some stuff.
Yeah, and they have a carousel there now and a Ferris wheel.
Cool. All right. You ready? Let's get into some stuff. So our first thing is a sad story. And we've talked about this before, as we are, an aging hobby. And our first thing we got to talk about is Dwayne Robert Pinkney passed away. And it was January. He was born January 30th, 1972, and he died August 19th, 2024. Now, Dwayne was only 2 years older than me, which, ugh. But Dwayne is responsible for some really, really nice buildups and was an amazing painter. So we're going to show some of his paint stuff here. I'm going to read just from his obituary. Dwayne Robert Pinkney, 52, passed away unexpectedly on August 19th at his home in Jefferson, Ohio. He was born on January 30th, 1972 in Ashtabula, Ohio. I think that's how you say it. The son of Barry and Marianne Pinkney. Dwayne was a member of Jefferson High School's graduating class in 1990. He worked as the general manager for more than 20 years at the Last Moving Picture Company in Kirtland, Ohio. On October 31st, 2008, he married his beautiful bride, Tina Jackson. They would have celebrated their 16th wedding anniversary in just a couple months. Dwayne was a freelance artist and journalist whose paintings and articles were featured in several publications, including Shadowland Magazine, Modern Focus, and Big Reel. He was also an award-winning model kit builder and painter. His love of monsters and old movies began with the Aurora Monster model kits he got as a young boy. Dwayne loved to share his fondness for the hobby and his techniques with other enthusiasts, and ran a large Facebook group with over 11,000 followers. He is survived by his wife Tina Pinkney and his sisters Christine Barry and Laura Simcoe. He is preceded in death by his parents Barry and Marianne Pinkney. An informal gathering, and this was just the funeral arrangements. But man, again, another one gone too soon. And let's look at some of his work. Amazing painter. And we'll get to this last one. Here, your mummy and your phantom. And he did a lot.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he did a lot for Mark Worthling. A lot of his buildups. And he had that amazing style to kind of go in a direction that a lot of people wouldn't even dare try and attempt. Like this green mummy. Who would ever think that green and purple would look like that good?
Right,
and it does.
Right.
Just beautiful stuff. And here, I think this is where his Basil Go-Go style is just beautiful. And to lose the guy of this much talent is really, really sad. I will say this. When I get to it, I thought it was at that slide. This mummy, this Imhotep, is this Imhotep? Am I right when I say that?
Ardith Bey.
Ardith Bey, that's right. So this Ardith Bey is probably one of the best paint jobs I've seen, period. The subtlety involved in this piece is second to none. And the lighting effect, the OSL on there, even just that little shimmer of light off the pillar on the base is just immaculate. Like I can look at this
collar, the purple collar,
yeah, it's so good. And I would love if, it would have been great to have him on to talk about this piece and some of the other pieces he did. So Dwayne, Godspeed, sir. It's sad to see people going.
I would like to go just like 5 episodes without.
I know, without someone going. But we're aging out, and it's tough. But this stuff, and even going back to this, like this green, it's the same kit.
Mm-hmm.
And to see it done in 2 completely different ways, and both work really, really well. It's just, man. And this mummy here, the green mummy, the regular looking mummy, and this creature, great stuff.
Yep.
Just
should be, but yeah, this is yeah.
And it's sad. It's part of getting old. No one gets out alive, and it's tough. So, to his family, we're sorry, and hang in there, and all his friends, like a lot of people, love Dwayne.
Yeah,
so,
there were a lot of people.
A lot of people upset, and unexpected, like out of the blue. So, which makes it even worse. So, hang in there, everybody. It's everybody's there for you. If you need some help, reach out. All right, you ready?
Ready.
Let's go on to news and reviews. Dun, dun, dun. All right, first up, from Jerry Frade, continuing in the Warriors line, The DJ. Here is my latest release from the Warriors series, The DJ, played by Lynn Thigpen. This is a relief kit portraying the underground DJ in the movie. It is a simple kit, but the role was a key part of the movie. This kit is available for $50 plus shipping. The size is 4.5 inches by 8 inches by 2 at the widest point. At first I was like, when I just saw the thumbnail, I'm like, wait, what is that? And I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Nice little relief sculpture. You could put it on like a little, like one of those picture frame holders. And I think it would make a great little display piece to go with your other Warriors kits that he has.
When I saw the picture at first, I was like, I thought that was an egg, and because it took me a minute to remember in the movie that,
And for those of you who haven't seen the movie, this is all you ever see of the DJ. You never see the rest of his face. You only see his mouth and the microphone, and he's narrating through the whole thing. So
at first, I was like, man, there's no detail on that microphone. But then when I see these other pictures, oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. You just got to zoom in there. It's there. That's a cool piece. Not something I would have thought of at all. So it's kind of cool that he's taking it out of the box. And then his next one, let me do a real quick sneak peek. Also including a sneak peek of the next full figure from the series. Baseball Furies coming soon. Pretty neat. Still in work in progress, I think. So that's a sneak peek. That's what's coming up next from Jerry Frade. Head on over to Just Painted on YouTube, Just Painted on Instagram. I'll have all the links down below. So good stuff, Jerry. Keep it coming. And Jerry, thank you once again for being so generous to us and getting stuff to us to give away. I appreciate it. And for sending stuff in. It's awesome. All right. Next. This one I do have printed out to read. All right. Up next, printed out some words, Scott. From Sci-Fi to Models. Here we go. From Sci-Fi Models and Stuff. Hey, everybody. Exciting news from Sci-Fi Models and Stuff incoming. If you were at Wonderfest USA this year, you might have seen this prototype on my table. I let people vote all weekend on whether I should produce it as a full-scale kit, and the results were overwhelmingly yes. Over the last few weeks, I've been working closely with Bradley Scott Worley on getting this bad boy molded and cast, and as well as 3D printing literally hundreds of parts in advance of release. Put simply, this is the most complicated kit I've ever produced. It includes 14 solid cast resin pieces and 20-something 3D printed parts. This means less cleanup, easier assembly, and a lower price point. And keep in mind, this kit is fully modular. It includes both a figure of Nakajima inside and Godzilla and the Godzilla costume, and the top half of Godzilla himself. This means you can build it up either way, and it's really like getting 1.5 full kit. At Wonderfest, I mentioned that this was going to be a pricey kit, but I would do my absolute best to keep it under $300. I'm super excited to say that after crunching the final numbers, I will be offering this kit for only $220 USD. here's how production is going to work. I expect to have my first set of kits within the next few weeks. And this came out like he made this announcement right like the day the last episode came out. So right around now should be where he's at. At this point, I'm going to open up a free pre-order list and just send me a DM to get on the list, either Dan Garden or Sci-Fi Models and Stuff on Facebook or sci-fi models and stuff at gmail.com. I'll have that information down below. As always, I won't request any money until your kit is ready to ship. Like many of my kits, I keep only a small number on hand at a time. I plan on keeping a rotating stock of 10 to 20 kits on hand at a time. At this point, this kit will be somewhat limited, but as long as there's demand, I'll have kits available. And I almost forgot, we have a brand new kit coming from the ever popular Jeff Yeager coming soon. Keep an eye out and also look for our website coming soon. So good stuff. This was the bus part was the one kit that I did buy at Wonderfest, and it's great to see the rest of this coming through. And I think magnetize it, have both ready to go. It's pretty cool.
Or buy two.
There you go. Help them out. Also, I put on, I think he has back in stock the Rainbow Connection, the Jim Henson piece. So if you were interested in that, I think he's got them available again. So hit up Sci-Fi Models and Stuff. Dan Garden, good dude. So help him out. All right. Next.
How many of the Edgars he's got left?
You know what? He answered that question. I think he only had, you know what? I wonder if they are gone. I'll have to message him. All right. Up next from Saul Alvarez.
Yeah. Silver Screen Icon presents The Bride of, I think we all know, Frankenstein. They're happy to announce this new release of The Bride as portrayed by actress Elsa Lanchester in the 1935 film Bride of Frankenstein, making available a full figure and bust of the sculpt depicting a great likeness and detail work. She can be purchased in scales of 1/6 and 1/4 for both the figure and the bust. The prints are made by New York 3D Creations, and they are spectacular. I couldn't be happier. If anyone wants a different scale, please inquire to see if we can accommodate your preference. For the busts and 1/6 figure, please allow 1 week for shipping. For the quarter scale figure, please allow 2 weeks for shipping. Payment method is PayPal. Marked as friends and families to Saul62, SAUL62 at AOL.com. Thank God somebody else has an AOL account beside me. Prices are the 1/6 scale bust is $100 plus $15 shipping in the US. The 1/6 scale figure, $175 plus $15 shipped in the US. Quarter scale bust is $130, $15 shipped in the US. Quarter scale figure, $225. Shipping is $20 in the US. International shipping for the busts is $35. International shippings for the figure must be calculated. They are starting a list now. If anyone interested, please PM Saul on Facebook. Saul Alvarez. Thank you in advance for all the support and interest. And then we have also.
Okay.
This says #1 prototype for sale. Quarter scale bust, Gary Oldman, Dracula in armor, measuring 12 inches in height. Purchaser will receive the one pictured in this post. First come, first served. Cost is $385, which includes shipping in the US. We'll ship international with added shipping cost. Dracula in armor for the bust and full figure, also available unpainted at various sizes. So
Saul's got some winners on his hand here. Like,
so
yeah,
there you go. That's a big bust.
That is a big bust. If you look, that's a folk art paint bottle there in the picture. So everyone knows how big those are. That's this big. So that's a big bust. That's a really nice size. Very cool stuff, Saul. And I'm sure great.
Saul likes his classic monsters.
Yeah. All right. Wait, I got one more picture of the painted bust. Both of them. Cool stuff. Well done, Saul. Nice. All right. Up next. Everyone, Scott's being mean to me. He's being mean to me. Hello, modelers. Happy end of summer. And to celebrate, we have a brand new signature series, number 4 sculpt. I called this one Marked. This is Jeff Yeager speaking, by the way. Is that a good Jeff Yeager impression?
I'm sure he'll love it.
What does he sound like? I don't even know. I have to.
He hasn't been on in a while. He get his ass back on here.
Yeah. All right. Based on the classic Mark of the Vampire, this 2-figure. Can I make fun of Jeff Yeager for a second? Is that possible?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because he hasn't been generous to us at all. Why don't you make fun of Jeff?
Hey, Jeff. 2-figure should be TWO, not TO.
Well, I won't even go into spelling Bella. That Bella Lugosi wrong. So, but I like the guy that can barely read the fucking post.
I gotta take my shots when I can.
Can't spell
I gotta take them when I can, man. Come on. Let me in. Let me fight. All right. Based on the classic Mark of the Vampire, this 2-figure bust picks Bela Lugosi and Carol Borland as the Count Mora and Luna. When a nobleman is murdered, these 2 actors assist investigation by pretending to be vampires, thereby drawing the real killer out into the open. Charming film with a great twist. Don't miss Bella's proclamation at the end. Sculpted by me, Jeff Yeager. I'm trying to read his sentence.
Are you reading the same thing I am?
Getting shots. Jeff's getting back at me. Oh, man. All right. Sculpted by me, Jeff Yeager, and cast as usual by the ever-present casting genius, Paul Gill. As usual, we're offering the first 40 kits at the discount price of $140. To get yours, please submit payment to PayPal ID number Do we want to put his PayPal up here?
He wants it.
Well, I took it off the Yeager Army page.
Well, it's out there then.
Okay. All right. I will type it in here on the screen. But DUPACUCC@AOL.com.
Yes.
Dupakuskuk.
Another AOL guy.
Yeah. Please use the word, the 3 of you in a row. Saul, Yeager,
Johansson.
Yeah.
Great painter, great sculptor, and just great all-around guy.
Great bullshitter. Please use the word marked in the comments section. Please use the word marked in the comments section and use the friends and family option only. Paul is just recovering from his annual hip surgeries, and so he's just back to getting back into the action. But we'll make every attempt to get the kit into your hot hands in the next month or 2. First come, first serve. So this is a Yeager model, Yeager Army model.
It is a Yeager signature series.
It is a Yeager signature series. So do you need the card for this? I don't remember how it works. No, you don't. Okay, so head on over to the Yeager Army. Link down below. I'll put all the other info here for PayPal and stuff too. Yeah. Get in there.
And if you have someone in your family that's ailing or dying, be sure to tell Paul, and he'll be happy to laugh about it for you. Okay? Who really? And he said to me, he says, "You're not going to say anything about that on the show." I'm like, yeah, there's 2 chances of that happening. Slim and none. But just a little background. Paul was reading something while one of our Discord guys was talking about his ailing father. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Paul starts laughing, and we're all looking at him like,
what's
what kind of monster are you? And all of a sudden, he realizes, I'm sorry. So, no, Paul was not actually laughing at the guy's misfortune, but it's a great story. And I busted him for it the next day. I called him up, and I said, dude, what kind of monster are you?
All right, from Well Winner, we've got a brief Well Winner update. We have... I don't think many of our people are going to be interested in a Bobby's World kit. I'm going to go out on a limb, but that's what's available this month. This month from Well was not very garage kit friendly. We had Care Bears, Bobby's World. There's a couple in there that are really good though. We have Bobby's World. I love it. It's great. It's well done, but it's out of
Bobby's World was the Patreon piece too.
Yeah, it was a Patreon piece. It's younger than me, so it's not something.
And another Globetrotter.
Yeah. We got another Globetrotter, and he does have this whole really cool display base that you can pick up by paying him directly. It is not available in another way. It's just directly through him. This basketball court piece to display all the Globetrotter guys. So
really nice. I got to tell you again, his renders
are crazy.
I mean, look at the reflection.
I know.
So
I know. And then Scott, you can talk about this one because I'm sure you're happy about this.
Another Wacky Racers, the Turbo Terrific. Peter Perfect's Turbo Terrific.
Is this supposed to look like a giant penis? Or is it just how it is?
No, it's just everything to you looks like a giant penis. Okay. But you come by it honest because, well, your mom thinks I got a big giant penis. So
that's not what I heard.
Yeah, like she's talking to you about it. So
how many is this? Like, where's he at in the series? How many more has he got to do?
Shoot, I'd have to go back and look, but 1, 2. I think the Buzzsaw special will be the next one.
Yeah,
but he's done the Army Surplus special, the Creepy Coup,
the who were
Arkansas Chugabug,
the Army guys. Which one were those?
Yeah, that was the Army Surplus special. So the Arkansas Chugabug, the Peter Perfect.
Did he do Dastardly yet in Muttley?
Not yet. He did the Gangsters too. Shit.
So it's coming. There's enough. There's a lot out there.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming.
Cool.
I gotta talk to him about the gangster car though. I want to know if he can because he's put the drivers in the rest of the cars. And although he made the gangsters available separately because they were also part of the Perils of Penelope Pit Stop cartoon, but his STL of the car doesn't have them in it.
Oh.
So we're gonna have to ask him about that because it's cool. But I love these Wacky Racers kids. So
yeah, they're cool. Even the render on this, that high gloss red and blue, that looks awesome. And the metal. All right. Then everyone's starting to slowly let it hit their mailboxes. The new X Plus Dracula is arriving. It's here. Mine, my pre-order notice came. Did yours?
Yeah, mine's on the way.
Yeah, mine should be. I'll bet it comes in the next couple days or something this week. Fine. I still have the unboxing videos to do for the other ones. I just haven't had time to edit because of work. So, yeah, it's coming.
I ordered 2 of these.
Did you really? I kind of figured you would. Oh, I like that.
And we don't have the pictures up here, but maybe you can find them. There was a gentleman that opened them, showed the sprues. And I don't understand X Plus. Like, the hand was like half the hand. Okay, you had to glue it together. I don't know if you saw those pictures.
Not yet, no.
So I don't quite understand.
They have some weird part breakdowns. And when I get those other videos, the Marilyn Monroe, a lot more parts than I figured were going to be in there.
The bats, the heads are separate.
Really?
The rats, the tail and the heads are separate. Okay. Now, there are 2 torsos available for this kit. Okay. And you have to build, it's not just a front chest piece. You have to build the whole torso, side, and everything to have the other, because in part of the movie he has the medallion, and the other part of the movie the medallion's not there. It's just a string.
Okay, Scott. So then, and then is one have the ring and not have the ring?
No, I think he's got the ring on.
In both?
I don't think they gave an extra hand, but yeah, so there's a lot of options. And another thing I don't like that X Plus doesn't do is they don't credit the sculptor. And our good friend Tony Cipriano sculpted this piece for him.
Yeah. He worked really hard on this. We know he did. It was a long road. We'll leave it at that.
So, but yeah, there it is. It's done.
And again, box art I think looks cool. They do such a good job with the box art. I think that's a cool box art.
And they try to make it look like an original Aurora.
It has that feel.
The boxes up. So
yeah, cool. All right, and then that's it in terms of new stuff. I didn't get much. Oh, that's not true. You ready? We're gonna do a live unboxing.
That's not true.
That's not true. My voice. We got from Nostalgic Resin Productions. We got some giveaways, and I'm gonna unbox them live here on the show. So we have the Baltimore Bard. Okay. And we have the Librarian. Which one should I open first, Scott?
Just send the Librarian over to my house.
No. That would be not fair. Where's my knife? Which one should I open?
The Bard.
Bard? Okay. So Bard is first, and then Scott, start thinking of stuff to put in the comments, Scott, to give these away. Okay, so for the Bard, we got a little bottle that goes on the base. We've got the base, which is a book. We have this for the base. Pretty cool looking old book with a nice little nameplate. We got that's there. Gonna slice this. How long till I cut myself?
Piece that you're gonna show in the interview at the very end, or somewhere in the middle. How you haven't knocked it over and broke it yet is beyond me, by the way.
What are you talking about?
That orc or whatever that's behind you there. How you have that you said has been built forever.
Oh,
how you haven't knocked that over yet is beyond.
So funny thing you say. Funny thing you mentioned that. When I was taking it off the shelf, I knocked another piece over and hit something I had just 3D printed and broke part of that off, and I had to instantly repair it with some resin. All right, here we got the bust.
Why are you such a klutz?
I don't know. I'm just a clod. Should
really
I talk
nice.
about my Godzilla I broke in the garage?
No.
We're out of time.
Because
it's gratuitous breakage at this point. So here's the Baltimore Bard. I think there's more parts in there, but I'm gonna I'll leave it at this. It sits on the base. You get a little bottle and some other details that go around there. So if you're interested in the Baltimore Bard, Scott, what should they put in the comments? We're gonna give these away next episode on episode 100. Boy, you're quick on that giveaway.
If you want to win the Baltimore Bard, type in the comments, "The Raven Nevermore."
That works. The Raven Nevermore. All right. If you want to win the Librarian, which is next, for those of you, we're calling it the Librarian. The Librarian. Why, Scott? Why are we doing that?
Why? Because we don't want to get in trouble.
Yep. that's the reason. So,
but the Librarian goes
say the word
well with the Mobius 66 Batman series.
So
kind of finishes that off.
I don't want to drop this because look at those arm fins.
I want to get into this contest.
Okay. Maybe we should have a challenge, a trivia challenge. If Scott wins, he gets it versus one other person.
Model Kit Jeopardy.
Yeah, there we go. Do it like that. Yep.
That would be fun. We should do it.
Hey, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm
Here
trying to
goes.
be very, very careful.
Here it comes.
There's the head.
Yeah, I got to get one of those from him.
I'll focus. There we go. Okay. We have the Librarian. It has a base that goes with that other series, right, Scott?
Apparently, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there's some other stuff here. The usual trinkets and awesome things from him. So here's the legs. So you get an idea of size.
He got legs. She sure did.
All right. Who's better, Catwoman or the Librarian?
Man, I'll tell you.
Who do you go with? And which Catwoman? Were you Eartha Kitt or the other one?
Oh, no. Julie Newmar all the way.
Julie Newmar. All right.
Okay.
So this is the 1/8 scale. There it is. I'm trying to be extra, extra careful because I cannot break this. So,
all right. So
I'm going to pack that up later. I'm not even going to touch it now.
Does he offer that in a bigger size?
Yeah, it's going to be eventually 1/6 scale, I think, too. As of right now, he's trying to fill out orders for everything else. So these are just our preview pieces. If you win this or the other one, you're getting some cool stuff. So what should people do for this one, Scott?
Hold on. I got an idea.
You know, I really like the idea of Model Kit Jeopardy. I could host it. I could be Alex Trebek, get 2 other contestants. We could make it a running series of the winner comes back for the next episode. How are you going to win the Librarian? All right, here we go. To get the kit, to get the Librarian, what do they have to do, Scott?
In the 66 Batman TV series, Barbara Gordon had a bird she would talk to sometimes. What was the bird's name? That's got to be in the answer.
So do we take the first person that puts that in?
No, the people that get it right. Because let me tell you, it ain't easy to find on Facebook because I'm looking for it.
Okay.
But the people that get it right will still do the wheel. But
Okay. People that have the right answer will get the wheel.
Correct.
So the Raven Nevermore, and the answer to Scott's question, what was the name of the bird?
In the 66 series.
In the 66 series that BG would talk to.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Nostalgic Resin Productions, for always donating. So we'll give these away on episode 100. We're going to have other giveaways on episode 100 next episode. So stay tuned. Be some cool stuff coming. Workbench, Scott. Been working on anything?
Yeah, I sure have. So this is kind of fun. So, as you know, a friend of ours and
it's not really a workbench story. It's a
well, it is kind of because I'm going to show you.
Garage bench
It is
story.
a garage story. Well, a friend of mine's had his stuff in my garage for 20 years. Okay, and I'm finally tired of looking at it, so I started to go through it.
This is where hold on. This is where Scott earns his halo.
Okay.
Right,
yes.
his angel wings.
Jason has seen how much is it.
Because if it were me, it would have been shipped out 19 years ago. But you're a saint.
Anyway, been going through this with him. Got a lot of kits for sale that will be at the barbecue.
Oh.
For sale. Deals are to be had. But one of the kits that was in it is kind of my payment for all this.
Oh, really?
Is this. Now, you may recognize this as a styrene kit that I have. A 172nd styrene kit. It's called the Aku Yaku Bad Guy Tank. And it comes with all these little pigs, the styrene thing does.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Well, this is how I first learned about this. He had this in my garage and showed it to me 20 years ago. And at one point said, yeah, you can just have that. Okay. This is a 148 scale. This is funny. So I want to show it. It is a 148 scale vinyl tank.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
How warped is it?
It's a little warped, but it can be had. Okay. And so the details there. Now this is based on the art of It's really not a lot of pieces.
No.
Okay.
That's pretty cool though.
And
to see a vinyl tank.
And it's based on the art of, and I'm going to give it to you in a minute here, a Japanese artist called Hayao Miyazaki. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I know I'm butchering that.
Yoshi's spinning in his
Okay, but anyway.
He's alive, so he can't be spinning.
There is a kit out there of this same tank that comes with these little pig army. Sells for about 50, 60 bucks that I have bought it. It's a great little kit. But this is a much bigger version of the tank. No pigs, but that's okay. But it's really fun, and maybe we'll get some pictures up here
cool.
to show you the tank itself. But yeah, and so I got this, and I think it's extremely rare because I've never seen another one in all my years.
I've never seen that. Never.
Okay.
Never.
And it's a hold on. Let me tell you, as far as warping.
Who made it?
So this is the company that made it.
Okay.
And if any of our friends read Japanese, please.
Yeah.
Okay. But
that's nice.
Yeah, I like it. So, cool. Tell you what, it's better vinyl quality than that. Oh, look, it's got a little penis on there. I mean, the detail's not bad on this. I mean, you know, it's got the rivets, and I think
vinyl kits can be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun little build. It's got a little defect there, but
Yeah.
nothing that can't be fixed easy. You
Well,
know.
this is going to come up again here shortly. I'll explain why in a minute after you hear one
But
of my
anyway,
emails.
so yeah. But if you look up on eBay, AKU bad guy tank,
Send me a link. I'll get the pictures up for everybody.
you'll see pictures of this. So yeah.
Any other Workbench news other than that?
No.
I started painting a mummy as a practice one to see, like, it's just base coated basically a couple different tones to start seeing which direction I want to go. And if I did do a video, how I would do a video, but that's coming along. And I, again, have just been building, trying to empty boxes.
I see how you put that mummy, kind of built him like you see him in museums. Like you didn't, he's kind of got that dark brown.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was trying. I did another one. I did a test. This mummy is with just the primer and then some contrast paint. So you can kind of see the difference. That's one coat of contrast paint. So contrast paint is kind of like a wash, but it stains as well. And then this one was just straight paint, no washes yet. And I kind of I'm trying to do it a little different than I normally do things. So just playing around with it, working on that. And then
you have enough of them.
I do. I gave 3 away to kids that we're sending in the mail to kids that we know that they could just paint for Halloween because they don't care. I'm really depressed though. I've had this bad Santa sitting here forever to paint, and I want to paint it for this Christmas, get it done. So I started looking up reference to see what colors everything has to be. The elf, the elf's pants are pinstripe red and white. And I'm just like, ugh. That put a damper on the whole project because now it's going to be work to try and do pinstripes instead of just like giving them some green pants or something. But so that's where I am on Workbench. Still working on stuff. And this is going to come up later. I'll talk. It'll make more sense in a minute. Our guest this episode is Mike Meyer of Rise 3D Builds. Great guy, great company, has a really nice YouTube channel, has stuff on Facebook, does some amazing, like really good classic characters with likeness. And the likenesses are really good, like really good, spot on. They did the Lone Ranger last year. He's got some new stuff coming out, some really nice Batman villains, some other really cool stuff. So check them out. Great little interview here with Mike, but it is very dense on 3D printing. So I'm just going to be a warning, heads up. There's some Warhammer talk.
Rick and Warhammer talk. Let me tell you, I'm not going to say they talk about Warhammer a lot, but I was able to eat my whole pizza while they talked. I barely had to interject at all.
So if you are a fan of Warhammer, there's a little bit of Warhammer in there for you. So we'll check back after the interview. Here's Mike. Hello, everyone. We are back with Mike Meyer of Rise 3D Builds. How are you this evening, Mike?
I'm doing great.
It's so good to see you. We have met at Wonderfest a couple times. We were introduced through Joe from before. So how are you, sir? How are things? What part of the world are you in?
Good. Busy, as always.
You got a lot going on, and we're glad you're here.
I do.
And congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Let everybody. Why you want to let everyone know what's going on?
Yeah, sure. Okay. We've got we are 2 weeks away at the time of recording this away from the due date of my second daughter being born. So Abigail Louise will hopefully be with us very soon.
That's fantastic. Congratulations, man. That's really cool to hear. In the meantime, Scott is eating his dinner. So if you notice Scott eating pizza down there, he was ill-planned on his pizza time. I thought Fridays was your pizza day anyway.
Can I not have 2 pizza days?
No.
So you've never eaten the same thing twice in a week? It's a yes or no question.
No.
Yes
Hold on. If
question.
It's pizza, is it from the same place?
No, it is not.
Then okay. Then it's fine. That's not Pizza Pete.
I'm so glad I got your approval.
Good. All right. So when Scott's munching away down there in the corner, disgusting everyone, we know what's going on. So anyway, Mike, good to have you here. You're down in Florida, right?
I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
So that's right. Near Savannah, Georgia.
I'm near Florida. I spent a lot of time in Florida, but no, I'm up here in Savannah, Georgia.
Because we were talking before we came on about you going to Orlando, and that's where my brain went.
Yep.
For, what did you call it?
Podfest.
Podfest. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Give people an idea.
It is a conference that happens every January down in Orlando, Florida, that is meant for new podcasters, current podcasters, to just come and learn and share what you know how to do. Different streaming platforms, all that kind of stuff. My wife, she runs her own veterinary podcast, and she's gone for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. My first time was last year. It's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of very interesting people.
I'll bet.
Well, we must seem like amateurs now.
Yeah.
The thing about it is no one's truly a pro and no one's truly an amateur. The thing is, did you hit record? You did your job.
And for 98 times out of 99, I have done it. Actually, I've hit record every time. We just didn't have audio one episode, which was...
I've done that.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
I did an entire live stream and no one in the chat told me my microphone wasn't working.
Oh, what the heck?
So here I'm just talking away, having a good time, building out. I went for almost 2 hours and they didn't tell me.
Well, we went live and Jason didn't hit the go live button and almost canceled the whole podcast.
That was because he probably knows. So when you go through YouTube and you go through OBS, there's like 2 windows you're looking at. And in OBS, everything's live, everything's working. It shoots over to YouTube. You can see the little window. But then there's a second go live button you're supposed to hit, which...
Yep.
Yeah.
So I actually do all my streaming and most of my recording and editing all on Mac.
Oh, okay.
And I use a product called Ecamm, which does a lot of the work. I hit go live once and it goes for me. And what's cool about it is I'm not only live on YouTube, I'm live on Twitch, I'm live over on Facebook. It pushes me to all 3 platforms.
And that's probably why I was confused, because that's how it used to be for me, because I was using Restream. And I used to, when I was just doing painting videos online, it was going to YouTube, Twitch, and I think somewhere, I forget where the other one was. But it was one time and it would just go through. And now YouTube changed it. Whatever. It's boring for people. Which brings me to your YouTube channel.
Yep.
Which is
Rise 3D Builds.
Yes.
So it used to be Rise 3D Printing. We rebranded because 3D printing, while is my passion is more than just 3D printing. I love models. I love painting. I love doing all that kind of stuff. I like working. I do a lot of Warhammer. I don't print Warhammer. I only buy and paint.
Yes.
And that's one of the big projects that's going to get started this year is I've purchased one of their most expensive minis. Their Warlord Titan. So this mini stands...
Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. What organ did you sell for this thing? How are you crazy?
It is.
Did you win the lottery?
$3,000 miniature.
Yes. Oh my God.
And yeah, I'm going big or going home.
Okay.
But we're gonna build it on the channel. It's gonna take probably a year.
Yeah.
Actually, over there in the corner, that's the base with that building on it. Because for a mini, it is over 2 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll throw a picture in here of it. I'll go find one. So how are the castings? Because it's a Forge World piece, right? It's
that
one of
is
the older
Forge.
Okay.
It is Forge World. The castings actually came out well. Now some of the pieces I looked at, yes, I'm going to have to use the boiling water method to kind of bend it back in shape. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's now Forge World's kind of going away.
Yeah.
We all kind of know GW's kind of moving everything over to plastic. It's going to make me cry when they release one of these for like $900 and all plastic. But it's one of those things. I've got one of the resin ones.
Yes.
I've got one of the old schools with the certificate, and we're going to have a lot of fun because there's going to be a lot of drilling. There's going to be electronics. There's going to be a lot.
I will highly recommend anyone who is interested in building models, watch that series, because there are so many parts and it's so cool looking when it's finished. That'll be truly exciting, I think, to see. So
GW considers that an expert level model. So It is definitely going to be a challenge for me.
Which I wanted to bring up right away. Because when I was looking at some of the...
question.
Go ahead.
You play the game or do you just build the figures?
I build, paint, and sell.
Okay.
I used to play, but I have not played since 8th edition. I think we're in 10th edition right now. But
yes, we're in 10th.
But I still know the lore. I know most of the rules. Occasionally, I'm more TO than I am actual player.
Okay.
But it's just kind of one of those things. I love the lore.
So let's, you know what? I don't think we've ever had someone that can talk Warhammer with me on the show ever before. And I'm always scoffed at. So I want to first know, how old are you, Mike?
I am 40.
Okay, so you're 10 years younger than me. I'm going to be 50. Scott's 10 years older than me, so we got a range here. I grew up Warhammer, like I grew up Dungeons and Dragons, like I got frustrated trying to learn how to play. I still to this day have never played an official game of Warhammer, but Warhammer, I've played Kill Team, I've played Blood Bowl, I've played Underworlds, but I've never played Fantasy Battle and I've never played 40K, but it has probably been the biggest part of my life since 1987, 86, because I've been painting Warhammer miniatures for forever, just because I like paint, like you said, just painting them. Yeah. And the lore and all of that, like it's my Disney. And I'm sure maybe you feel the same. Like I could give, like people who get excited about Disney or Marvel or any, like that's Warhammer to me, is that whole universe is how I feel about certain things. So it's cool to meet someone else sort of like that. I want to play, and I don't know how many starter sets and just, but it just, like when you live by yourself, it's hard to go out and like try and drag someone over here to like go play or go to a tournament and like get the balls to actually enter a tournament and try that. Your feelings similar, same?
Very similar. I was lucky here and in St. Louis. St. Louis, we had miniature market. They would have teaching days where you could bring your army and they would teach you. Here, the game shop actually closed its doors yesterday.
Oh no.
It was called Cerberus Legion Games, and I had been partnering with them almost since I moved out here. Because literally I would go across the main road and I'm there. So I actually 3D printed the store's terrain that they used for their tournaments, and all that kind of stuff to just help, just work with them. And in the end, they're responsible for that cabinet, this cabinet full of minis that I have purchased through the years.
Yeah,
working with them. But it's one of those things when you talk painting. Oh, see, now you got me showing a little bit.
Oh no, you got to.
So I love the Imperial Knights.
Okay, yep.
And these are 30K. But just the level of detail that's coming out. This one's not even finished. He just got put on the shelf. But it's just a challenge because you can make clean and pristine, or you can make just grunge, dirty, start with an orc and just, I slapped paint on.
So you mentioned orc. So my one army that I have closest to having an army that's painted is orcs, Space Orcs. And I saw you have a Stampa ready to go. So,
I am about ready to start painting a Stampa.
Here's mine that was about ready to paint 10 years ago. That's still sitting, waiting to paint because it's one of those, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to actually tackle this? Because, and I'll put another picture up for people to see, but there's so many armor panels. Okay. Yeah. It's so detailed, so amazing. I magnetized the arms so I can kind of still turn them and stuff, but I love Spaceworks. I love it's just because they're funny. They're that side of the game that's just.
Yeah, the orcs, the Stampa that you mentioned is the only orc piece I own.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Currently, it is the only orc piece. I had an orc group and I traded them off, got another group. I'm starting out on a Chaos army right now that's going to be I'm going to flush it out. It's going to be painted in the Iron Warrior theme and just sell the army.
Yeah.
That way, someone that wants to play, but a lot of people like to play or they like to build.
Yeah.
You rarely find both. And I'm catering to that group that doesn't want to build or paint it or do any of this,
That's
but they
cool.
want to go play it. So
That is very cool. So I love having like Warhammer people on here. It's so nice and so refreshing. What is your other army? What have you done? Like, if you could do one and you did want to build, like, what's your favorite? Fantasy and 40K.
So actually, I'm more Horus Heresy.
Are you? Oh, so you're.
I like 30K.
Guy. Okay, all right.
And
Scott's looking at us like, what the hell are they talking about?
They just released the Mechanicum 30K set.
Yes, that stuff looks.
Which it is sitting out in the garage. It is sleek. It looks fantastic. I'll eventually get to it.
Yeah.
But I was into Warhammer, and then I started reading the Horus Heresy. And Dan Abbott and all those guys, those first 3 Horus Heresy books, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I got to keep going. Now I think we're in book like 60 or something. We finally have the end. The final battle has finally, and I haven't read that book yet.
Yeah.
So. But
I was always more of a fantasy, the Warhammer fantasy stuff, because it was like Dungeons and Dragons, but badass. Like, it was grim. It was horrible. It was a horrible world to live in. You were afraid to go out in the forest. It wasn't like, let's just trot down the path and get an adventure. It's like, you're dead 4 minutes in. Like, it's
so when you say fantasy, are you saying like old world?
Old fantasy, the old Warhammer fantasy. I like Sigmar stuff. There's some cool things. But I got burned. My favorite faction is Beastmen, and they just canned them from Sigmar. So they moved them back to the other game that they put out. And I'm like, oh man, all right.
Well, I mean, old world is on its way back. We have 3 armies. No, we have 4, and the 5th, Chaos, just got announced.
They just announced it, this past weekend.
Was it today or was it yesterday?
Sunday usually. But most people don't see it till Monday, but it does, I think, Sundays. I like the old ogres. Like, the old ogres were so cool. Like, not the ones that look like the Mongolian guys, but the feather hats. I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah, the old ogres are the best.
Actually, one of my buddies, he is talking about selling his ogre army.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
And I'm sitting there going, really?
Man, that old... I have 50 pounds of old metal Citadel sitting back there.
The metal ones... They're a whole different ball game.
Yeah. It's so cool. And then there's so much character in those old ones that there's the humor level that Warhammer used to have that you only really find in certain factions nowadays, like the orcs and some other stuff. But
just the putting them together, you might have had 3 parts. These new minis, I was building a box of Chaos Possessed Space Marine. Why these guys had like 15 parts? It's just this little bit. I'm like,
well, that's what I'm doing.
Like one big piece.
I decided I'm out of shelf space, so all of my box sets I've decided to build. And so right now I'm finishing up the Realm of Chaos, the Bloodletters versus the Demonettes, the Slanish Corn box that I have that I'm trying to get done. So I'm starting the Juggernauts right now, and then. We got to do the Slanish stuff, but all right, we've bored enough people. We're here for Garage Kids. Shut up, Scott. You'll talk comics with people forever. But the lore, like, for people who think, Warhammer's dumb, the lore for Warhammer dwarfs Star Wars. It dwarfs Marvel. Like, there's so much there if you really want to get into it.
Yep.
Scott. It does.
I mean, the only one that might dwarf it's Doctor Who.
Perhaps, yes.
We gotta give the oldest series its credit here.
Yes. Yep.
Because my daughter would disown me if I didn't bring up Doctor Who. She loves it.
There's some really cool stuff.
My 14-year-old.
Yeah.
But
does she build models at all with you ever?
Actually, we were working on an F-22 Raptor this summer. She's very interested in modern aviation. Actually, she's actually considering it.
That's cool.
For her career. So I was like, and I bought 2 kits. So we were both building our own plane.
That's cool.
Now, of course, she's just building. I'm sitting there like, okay, how do I paint this cockpit? So she got like halfway done and I'm still in the cockpit piece. I'm like, uh-oh.
She opened a classic Doctor Who or just the newer stuff?
She is very much a David Tennant and Matt Smith. So
new.
she's into the newer stuff, but she's kind of in that middle ground.
Matt Smith's really good though.
Yeah. Oh,
dude, I don't want to sound like a total sissy.
House of the Dragon. Wow.
He's great in that. Which I just starting season 2. But the episode of Doctor Who with Van Gogh, with him, where they take Van Gogh to look at his artwork, it makes me tear up every time I watch it. And I will show it to my students and be like, this is Van, and because it perfectly describes him. When they walk him through the museum, it's one of the most heartfelt things I've ever seen. And it's a Doctor Who episode. And it's just like, oh man, so good. Anyway. Enough nerd.
I'm a Tom Baker guy, so
no, I am Tom Baker too. That's my doctor.
Yep. I love that he was in the 50th anniversary episode. I love that he showed up.
I didn't see it. All right. 3D printing. How'd you get into it? Because you're one of the first, like, how long's your channel been around?
My channel started 3 months into COVID.
Like us, almost, probably.
But I've been 3D printing before that, before we even started the channel. Because one of the things that I thought was hilarious was my wife Megan and I were getting ready to get married in 2019, and we were looking at the prices of all these decorations. And I said, you know what? I'll just print it. And that's what we did. We had letter bowls that were 3D printed for all the M&Ms. All the picks and the cupcakes I had 3D printed custom for us.
That's great.
And probably saved us a good $1,000 just in decoration costs. But even before that, so I've worked in IT for almost 20 years.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. That's where I got into science fiction, was Star Trek. Waking up every morning and watching TNG was my jam. I'm a Picard all the way through.
I think we have 3 generations of captains that we could go with. Scott's a Kirk. Am I right, Scott? Oh, here we go.
Okay.
As he chokes.
I grew up with Kirk and Spock and the reruns, and I loved them. But when Next Generation came out, and I suffered for them first year and a half.
Yep.
I watched every episode. It was on
channel 50.
Forgot what channel it was on here, but it was in syndication.
Yeah, it was channel 50, I think, here.
And I stuck with it, and I enjoyed it enough that I kept going. And by the time they got to the Best of Both Worlds Part 1, and then they left me hanging, I was like, what the fuck? I was so mad. Okay, I was so mad. Because I had never had a TV show really do that before, I don't think, And, but by then, I was hooked in. I think Next Generation, I better not say this. I'll make people mad.
Oh, go ahead. Say it.
I think Next Generation is better than the original series. Okay. I mean, I appreciate the original series for what it was. And Shatner is Shatner. But, Next Generation, especially from like season 2, maybe mid-season 2 on. There were still some good episodes in there, but, it was scattered. Sometimes they were really kind of hokey. But it really grew. It really grew. And
here's some controversy.
I'm more of a Picard than a Kirk, I would have to say.
And I'm more of a Cisco kind of guy. I love my Deep Space Nine. I love Next Generation, and I like the original series, but again, not my age frame. But those last few seasons of Deep Space Nine, where they're like the galaxies at war, and you have it's more of a war show than anything else at those last couple seasons, and I loved it what they did at the end.
So I always call him the captain of war.
Yeah,
because he's the only captain that really showed dealing with a war.
Yeah,
I mean, Picard talked about going through the border conflicts and all that kind of stuff. Janeway, she was always just the scientist mainly, but Cisco was the captain, just like we had the Doctor of War.
Yeah.
We always had that one carrier that had to be embroidered, had to make the worst decisions possible. What was the episode? Pale Moonlight. where he had to bring the Romulans into the war.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just you committed every sin that against the Federation, what it stood for.
Dude, it was so
to
good.
Save it.
So good. Generation's great though too.
Yeah.
Like there's so many
well,
it's good TV. It's like you miss
Cisco,
good TV
to
these
me,
days.
Will never stop being a hawk from Spencer for Hire.
Oh. I grew up with watching that show in reruns with my mom.
Oh, I love Spencer for Hire. I read all the books and
yep. Yeah. And you just see that you see Hawk come into Cisco in the later seasons, and
yes, you great. Do. I agree with you.
That's cool.
I do agree with
okay,
you.
Sorry, I sidetracked us. So, fan of Star Trek got you into tech?
So, the only place you could get ships was either the old AMT Ertl model kits, which I had all of them. I still have a ton of them, which every time I go to a store or something and I see one, I buy it. I have 3 of the old 1995 Excelsior kits sitting out on the shelf. I have actually just listed them in my store so someone can actually buy them and actually play with them. Because I'm bad about this. I buy model kits and
I think everyone has that problem. It's not just you.
Well, and you saw I bring them to Wonderfest because we're all looking for that kind of stuff. But basically, Eagle Moss was the only thing giving us anything new. And, I'd just been watching First Contact. I'm like, I want the Akira class. I want all these really cool new ships. Well, no one was making them. Well, guess what? I could with a 3D printer.
Yeah.
And that's what I started doing was I started 3D printing the ships I wanted. Then here came the painting and all that kind of fun stuff again. And I'm like, wow, I'm feeling creative. Because I was in IT. I didn't have time to go create, and programming was not my thing. I'm an infrastructure engineer. So when you curse your network or your server, it's me.
Yeah.
In reality, like right now, all I do is, that little Windows box that pops up and says, hey, your computer's going to restart in 4 hours for updates. That's what I do. I make sure your computer reboots and is compliant in a company infrastructure for security. But I mean, who would have thought little prints like this just to keep my paint pot from flipping over or my lid from coming off? I mean, the little things that you figure out. Yep.
I printed the same one.
Tool.
Yes.
If you use Citadel paint, you need this.
Yes. I have 2 of them. I have 3 of them sitting right there, actually.
Yep.
That's funny.
But it opened up a door I hadn't expected. And I started out in FDM. I started out the same way as most people did with the Ender 3.
Right there.
My poor Ender 3s I'm not running a single one of them anymore.
Aww.
I've got corrupted by Bamboo Labs. And I've got 3 of the X1 Carbons in my shop. And I love them.
Let me ask you a question, though, about the Enders.
Yeah.
You use an automatic leveler, or did you level it on your own all the time?
So, okay. And I have a video on this. There's the automatic leveler, which I completely despise, but I use now all the time.
Damn it!
You could do the paper method. But what I did, and my father, so I actually corrupted my 70-year-old father, and he's into 3D printing too. Because I showed him how to make a fish tackle.
Yeah.
With this 3D printer. And
I had the same experience. My dad, we were trying to make stuff for a pool, like billiards. So he's been making stuff, and then I've been printing it. But
we figured out how to use the pressure gauge. And it was on a kit that would go onto it, and it would go down and would set a measurement. And when it was right, it would be at the same place. All 5 positions, you knew your bed was perfectly level. There is an old video that I shot with my cell phone showing these 3 methods. None of them are really relevant because even the Easy ABL now levels differently than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But then I bought a Bamboo Lab X1 because I was like, okay, rapid printer. I want multicolor. This sounds fun. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That cost me a lot of money now. Because even just over here in the corner, there's a Bamboo A1 sitting over here with an AMS that's in my office. So when I'm making a part and I'm not sure about it, I throw it on there real quick, print it. Okay, well, I need to adjust this. That I keep in here for just rapid testing. But my poor little Ender 3s, my X1 could do the same work of 4 Ender 3s in the same time frame.
So then that's my question. Is it worth getting an Ender 3 anymore? Or just go, is it help you learn? Like if you're today, I want to get into 3D printing, I want to learn how to do it. Because the theory was always get an Ender 3 because it kind of forces you to learn how to do a lot of the stuff. Whereas the bamboo stuff, it's like Jamie Sy explained it more like Apple versus like how Apple will do a lot of stuff for you and hold your hand.
I mean,
do you find that?
I can go on my phone into the Bamboo app, find a model, and send it to my printer. I don't even have to slice it anymore. I just have to make sure my printer is set to the right settings, and I can start a print.
Okay.
From my phone, from their website, of a model that's in their library.
Are you stuck with only their library stuff?
No.
Okay.
You do have the Bamboo Lab software you can put on your computer and slice like you always do. And what's nice about the Bamboo Lab software is I can slice to Creality. I can slice to Illigu. I can slice to my other machines using their software, and it does a really good job.
Okay.
No more playing with Cura.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So it's actually, and it's free. And it doesn't do all printers, like it won't do an Ender 3.
Okay.
But like the enclosed printer, like the Creality K1 Max and printers like Ender 5s, it's designed for those. It goes to my Neptune 3 Max, which I'm very thankful because I like my Neptune 3s. I like having that big printer that I can print a big armor chest plate piece in one print.
That's what I've been looking at. I've been trying to think. I want to get one of those big Neptunes, I think is probably in my next printer.
Go with the 3.
3?
The 4s are not great right now, and you're going to save some money buying the 3s because the 3s are fully firmwared out. They're good.
Okay.
The 4s got problems.
That's what I was just reading yesterday.
Yep.
That some people were. Yes.
Jason likes problems.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a tinkerer, and I like to continually get angry.
If it's mechanical problems, I love it. If it's a software issue, drives me up the wall.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I'm the
mostly
same.
what I'm hearing from them is you're paying for an extra fan and a bunch of software issues right now. So
okay, that's good to hear.
But then, and I know you've done the same as me. You do filament for a while, then here comes resin.
Yep. Yeah, so we hit that. So how did it happen?
We actually went reverse. We did resin first.
Actually, we did do resin first.
Yeah.
And then I did, yeah.
So I did filament first, and I keep going back and forth. I even combine the project. I'll have filament and resin parts together, depending on what I'm building. But I jumped over to resin. Actually, this was, I got one of the Mars printers, the original Mars, from Illigu. And that's where I started. I didn't know what I needed at all. Didn't know. Didn't know I needed a wash and curing station. Didn't know I needed to, a lot of people use isopropyl. I use denatured alcohol. It just depends on how you want to clean your models. But then I started down this rabbit hole, and the local science center in St. Louis, which is where I was living at the time, had a first Friday night theme. And we took our 3D models and we were selling there. And then, I was like, great, awesome. Then one day I went to Miniature Market for a paint class. And then I met Joe Hudson. And Joe and I have spun off. He was the real push into resin because he really likes resin prints. And I built partnerships. I got better at it. Okay, Jason, what's your favorite resin printer?
I like my Jupiter the most right now.
See, I am a Frozen guy.
Okay.
I'm one of those jerks with the Frozen Mega 8Ks. I got the big build plates.
Yeah.
And I even purchased I think it's eMake 3D's Galaxy One that has the big 17. I have learned horribly that printer doesn't work like any other printer we because it's truly a laser underneath. It's not the projector. And what I learned is I'm in Shinto box doing my thing, got my thing, and I'm like, okay, there's all my settings. Go put my file in. This printer doesn't care about your settings file. If you have not set the settings on the printer manually, it ignores everything and just does what it knows.
Huh.
I've had so many fails till I've had this printer for 8 months.
And you're
I
still
tinker
having
with it.
Okay.
Then what did Mike finally do? I read the book.
Oh, Scott, shut up. I know he's going to say something that I don't read things.
I YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
That's just the way I've figured out. This is how we learn. This is how we fix
It's better for me to learn that way.
Yeah.
That's how I learn.
When you did your Ender 3s, when you first got your Ender 3s, I don't know how well you remember this, but they came with them nice booklets step by step, right? Do you remember like one of the first 3 or 4 steps was about the power supply, what you had to do?
Oh no, I think I know where this is going.
Okay. Like maybe when you had to hit that switch, just switch it to 110.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my CR10 videos, when I unbox those, I purposely go and see a switch, flip it.
The first one I switched it. I'm like, when I started building my second one, I'm like, oh, I know how to do this from the first time, and totally forgot to flip the switch.
And it never worked right after that. It never worked.
You brought up a point that is different to all the new printers. Even the Bamboo X1 Carbon. The new printers, about 10 to 15 minutes out of the box, you're printing. That Ender 3, that was, I think I said so many cuss words and pinched my fingers and just like this. I'm pretty sure I walked away a few times. I know I assembled the X-axis and Y-axis, Z-axis wrong one time. I mean, the book does not follow the actual printer. You're on there looking at pictures on Google, trying to figure out what you did wrong.
That's how I did. I watched a guy build one on YouTube. That's how I did it.
I almost threw mine out the window. Because to me, resin printing is so much easier. So
I get frustrated with resin printing.
See, and we started resin printing, and then I get this thing, and I'm trying to manually level it. It's mashing down into this magnetic. I went through like 5 of those freaking things because I just gouged the shit out of them.
Yep.
And I told him, I said, come get this thing. I don't want it. It was $100. I'm like, come get it. I don't want it. And that's when I got the BL Touch.
Yep.
And since then, I've never had a problem. But
Cheater.
I don't always have to fuck with mine like somebody else. Okay. I'm of the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm in the make it better no matter what.
Well, I got really wild with mine because the Ender 3 Pro, if you remember, had the laser add-on kit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes.
I did that. I regretted it, but
I didn't even bother with that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I did it, and it burned things. Not things I wanted it to burn, but it burned things.
Oh, Jason, you would like that.
Oh, I would actually. That's the last thing I need is a burning laser. That no. Not good.
Actually, I just put it together. I think a few weeks ago. I've got the new Illigu. It's
that thing looks cool.
The new laser.
Yeah.
I've yet to get to play with it because my community here. So Hurricane Debbie came through, and we had 20 inches of rain in 3 or 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
And the hurricane went on, and we're like, oh, we're fine. Yeah, no, we weren't.
Oh no.
Luckily, my house was fine, but the Ogeechee and Kenichi rivers backed up and flooded half of our town. So a bunch of stuff went in my garage, helping people just store stuff to keep it safe, and I'm finally getting my shop back.
Well, at least it's for a good reason. Help people.
Well, I mean, I was out there helping get sandbags, helping get people around because some people, they didn't have their cars. They were trapped in their house. They couldn't get them out in the streets because it was just a bad situation, which luckily now that's kind of the water is finally gone, but now it's a real disaster recovery and people
wet carpets out in front of the house everywhere.
It looks like a war zone. There's just piles of just discarded furniture because I mean you can't keep that stuff. It's just ruined, which I mean, I learned that living in St. Louis. We had the same thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've never had a house flooded. Knock on wood.
Knock.
Oh.
So then how did you go from, just to skip ahead a little bit, how did you go from I'm printing other people's stuff to I want to print my own stuff?
Logical progression. I actually enjoy printing and selling my own stuff more than doing personal consignments.
Yeah.
I like doing that, but I feel like there's less pressure. I'm making models I myself want.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things. I enjoy that more. I'm going to print as fast as I want to print. I don't have someone say, "Oh, I'll do this job for you," and they're back to me in 2 days. Hey, where's my print? You realize this takes like a week. I mean, I've got a print I put on the printer it's a resin print that's gonna take 65 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
your print is on average, when I do a print for somebody, I tell them straight up 6 to 8 weeks. Period. Because one, you're not the only person I'm probably printing for.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, I mean, a lot of people think now these days it's, oh, you just take my file and you put it in your printer and you press a button. I'm sitting there going, no, that's hours of, I have homed in my resin. I have homed in the build plates. I've spent all this time making my machine pretty just to put your print in and it just go.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bit of an after show conversation, but.
Yeah, I think so. So did you try and sculpt anything yourself, or you were immediate like, I'm going to shop the sculpting out to someone else?
So we do both. I am very mechanical. I like making machines.
Okay.
So starships, that's where I started 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, and specifically, I'm going to pick on Voyager because you never saw this model kit, but there was that one episode with Warship Voyager where it was just bristling with weaponry from an alternate universe. Mikey wanted.
Yeah.
And so I started designing the pieces to go on the 1/650 model kit. And that's kind of where I got started. I am horrible at organic. I do not do well with organic. Luckily, that's where Joe comes in. Joe has a guy. We work great together.
Okay.
We work on and I get licensing. I go and do all the licensing stuff that you're supposed to do because it's licensing and I don't want to get sued. We've all had to deal with it, whether it's personal use, commercial use, talking to the big mouse. You've got to go make sure, especially if you're selling this stuff, that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't. And I try to make sure we're on we're on the right page. Have I been on the wrong page before? Probably. We've all have been
in this hobby. Yes, 100%.
Yes, it's kind of hard to always be on the right side, but I think Pestilence Lab was dealing with. I just saw a post the other day about they put out their Evil Knievel, and then all of a sudden here's another one that almost looks identical.
Well, and that was
into that controversy, you get into that tug of war. Maybe we were both designing them at the same time. It's hard to tell a truth.
Mhm.
And that's something. And when you go to shows like Wonderfest and stuff like that, and people are kind of like, is this legit? You've got to have your butt covered. I keep a binder under the table with all of our licenses just in case somebody gets a little snippy with me of here's where I purchased my license for this model.
Yeah.
Where I've gone to this, to this studio and said, can I print this?
What? And if you don't want to answer this question, you don't have to. What's the biggest studio you went to get a license so far? Or biggest license owner or holder that you went
Disney.
to? Disney?
Disney.
So, because I think people are just afraid to even attempt that in this hobby. So walk us through when who do you call it Disney? How did it go?
So luckily for me, I am very good friends with a gentleman that is he is an IP lawyer. He
Mhm.
deals completely in intellectual property. That's what he does all day long. I am very lucky to know him because I introduced him to his wife. And he tells me every time I see him, you need something, you call. So, and it's not even approaching them for the licensing that is usually the worst. It's when they come back and say you have to pay this much and you only get to do this number of this type in this way. Because sometimes it just makes it completely unfeasible. You don't see the return on the investment. Disney is one of those you can kind of sneak under the radar. But it's one of those things, if you start touching things like Star Wars, you start touching Marvel, it can go very bad quickly. And it's just kind of one of those things, you want to be on the right side of that because you do not want the mouse. And actually, I'm going to pick on Games Workshop here in a minute. You don't want Mickey Mouse coming after your home or your LLC. But also, just like, so the only reason why I separated 3D printing and model building into two channels is I did not want a confrontation with Games Workshop.
Yeah.
That is why I separated them.
So for people who don't know, explain why.
Games Workshop is vehement about protecting their intellectual property. As in, like, YouTube channels have been destroyed by Games Workshop to protect their property.
Yeah.
They are probably the worst.
I was gonna say they are probably the worst when it comes. Well, on their side, it's the best, but
Yes.
for fans and for other people who just want to make cool stuff, especially animators, like the people when they went out and offered jobs for people who don't know, offered jobs to all of the people that were like making fan movies for Warhammer stuff, offered them jobs, and then if they said no, they went after their channels, shut them down completely, sued people. There's a guy on Cults. I'm not even going to say his name because it'll probably flag us for something. There's a guy on Cults that was sculpting Warhammer stuff, and that guy is destroyed. Like his life is wrecked because of some of the stuff they're doing to him.
So, like, for me, I'm an incorporated LLC. That gives me some protection.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're going to take all my 3D printers. Ooh.
Yeah.
But it protects my wife and my household and stuff like that. But it's one of those things I vehemently try not to produce anything that is currently in production of Games Workshop. If I'm going to print something, I may print a dead Imperial Guardsman to put on a base.
Yeah.
I mean, or pauldrons because I'm building a special army. But it's one of those things, I stay away from it. I've seen channels, the Warlord Titan I mentioned. I've seen channels print that. And it's like, how are you still a channel?
I saw a guy, and I've seen him at Games Workshop event. Like, he was at Adepticon filming, and you probably, if I showed you his picture, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he was showing how to recast Games Workshop parts, like on his channel. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, are you that stupid? And other people are just like cheering him on, like, this is awesome. I'm so glad to see how to do this. I'm like, you're insane.
I mean, there comes a time and a point, and one of the best ones that I am so glad he actually did take the job with GW is the gentleman that made Astartes.
Yep.
That is one of the best Warhammer fan-made things I've ever seen.
It's so good.
He deserved to work for that.
Oh yeah, he should be making full-length movies. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm wondering. That stuff that's coming out with Amazon that's done by the people that did Love, Death, Robots. That has the Warhammer bit in there. I'm wondering if he had a hand in that piece because it looks really nice. It looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. You've got to watch what you're doing, and I ask a lot of questions. Luckily, I don't have, being the intellectual property lawyer, that helps me a lot because it's like, can I do this? You shouldn't.
What's amazing to me, though, in the garage kit world especially, is George Stevenson was a prime example. He paid for all these licenses, and then when he started getting pirated and everything and asked for help from these IP holders, they were Zippo help, zilch, They were no help at all. And so at that point, it was kind of like, screw it, take my chances. The other thing that amazes me is, you mentioned Marvel and Disney and Star Wars, and the amount of Marvel, Disney, Star Wars stuff that I've seen, CG Trader, Cults, whatever, that's still out there, available. And I'm like, how are they not shutting this down? It's shocking to me. I'm glad. There's a part of me that's glad they're not, because some of it I want to get. But
now, some of that too is how it's licensed on CD Trader and stuff like that. They're licensing it personal use only, meaning they're not selling the file. It's you can go print it yourself. No one's making money in that trail. That's how you really can get away with it, is if you're not making it's art at that point. The real problem becomes when you're selling. That's when you start to really transgress into, I shouldn't do this. And I remember that first year I went to Wonderfest, there was maybe 2-3 of us that did any 3D printing. I mean, I know I was purely 3D printing, but everybody else kind of had some, they were kind of tinkering with it. And this last year, I think there were 5 or 6 just 3D printers there. I like to think I started something bad. But Wonderfest itself is an anomaly. I spent a year going to different shows, Comic-Cons, all this kind of stuff, and there's nothing like Wonderfest that I went to. I basically, this last year, I've done no other shows, only Wonderfest. I would have done the Jersey one if it had happened, but it didn't. So
this was going to be, I'm glad you brought it up, because this is going to be one of my first questions to you actually about it. The Wonderfest, as a first-time dealer, not knowing what to expect, what kind of advice would you give other people who are going to be first-time dealers and going to Wonderfest?
To the other dealers. The first year, I didn't talk a lot. I stayed at my booth. I talked with Mark some, kind of made some friends. This last year, talking with Jeff Camp and all these other, I finally got invited up to the party in the suite.
We're sorry.
and
yeah, I still haven't been invited. I've never been invited.
And just talking with all these people, it really changed the perspective. It showed that, there is this really actually tight-knit community that once you're accepted, you're in. And just seeing the level of skill and artistic ability in this group is just amazing. And I'll be honest, I would have never gone to Wonderfest if Joe had not twisted my arm to do it. Because for me right now, Wonderfest is a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
Now, when we were first planning it and all that, living in St. Louis, it's only a 4-hour drive. Wait, why am I? Oh no, I moved to Georgia. And even this year, I looked at my wife, and she was 5 months pregnant. I said, "You have to fly to Louisville." She was like, "Why?" I was like, "It's only an 11-hour drive. I need your seat in the car. I need your spot for boxes." And I flew my daughter, because my daughter spends the summers with me. I flew her directly to Louisville. This is where everybody just started grouping up.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things I don't think I would hate myself for missing a show after going the second year. I would hate not being there.
I'm going to show your table again from Wonderfest. There's some pictures from Wonderfest.
Yeah, because the first year you were right across from me.
Yeah. And Scott wasn't there that year, and we were behind you. You can see Scott in the one picture that I did grab.
See your bald head too.
And that's the back of my head. Right over your shoulder. And I see a lot of ships on your table. What sells better for you at Wonderfest, the figures or the spaceships?
Ships.
Really?
Ships were this last year. Ships were the name of the game. I came home with one ship, and I had free break on the trip there, and people still bought them for a discount.
I'm telling you, Scott, and I think.
Hey, you leave my ships alone.
No, I think the ships are overtaking the figures at the show. I've been running with this theory for a while. You're adding more fuel to my fire.
So I'm actually going to try to compete this next year. So I've printed the Odyssey class Enterprise F. This is all resin, one piece, one big print. This is going to be, I'm actually going, hopefully for the first time, enter into the actual competition room.
Awesome.
So
what printer did you print that on?
That was printed on the Frozen Mega 8K.
Okay.
So that just shows the scope of that big build plate.
And for people who are like bored to death because we're talking a lot of 3D printing, it's okay. Come back later. But for the people that are interested, this is, I think, going to be pretty cool. What if between Elegoo and Frozen, why are you a Frozen guy? Like, why do you like Frozen better than Elegoo? Just wondering.
The machine, so like the Mega 8Ks come completely pre-calibrated. I don't have to do a thing. It is ready to print right out of the box. I don't have to level. Everything is done and ready on the big Frozen machine. Everything starts at 8K, but one of the things that has impressed me about Frozen is their machines are upgradable. So the mighty 8Ks, which was only 8K resolution, they released an upgrade kit for $200. Brand new higher resolution LCDs. The ability to firmware to switch to from FEP to ACF for faster printing. The machines can grow.
Okay.
Where Anycubic, that machine I bought, is the machine I will have till it's done. And Mars, Elegoo is trying to do kind of similar, but I think part of the problem right now is the resin technology is growing just as fast. The resin printers can do amazing things. The only thing that really hasn't caught up is the resin. The resin isn't thin enough yet to really do the sharp stuff. Now, like Frozen, they just released their RGP resin, which if you got D&D minis, they're that rubbery, nice elastic minis with they have the sword that you can bend and it won't snap.
Yeah.
Frozen's RGP resin is that.
Okay.
It behaves the same way. Their 8K resin, it just prints beautifully. Cleanup is usually really easy. Elegoo resin, I had constant fights. I didn't care for the product, although a lot of times I went for the Anycubic resin, which always never seemed to work.
Yeah.
So now I run all three brands of machines in the shop. Okay. The majority of my machines are Frozen. But I run Anycubic, the M3 Max, the M5. I love the M5. The first in any printer I've ever had a resin that auto levels itself. That's just awesome. But the Frozen machines, just in their quality, they're built heavy duty. They're built strong, which kind of set off a lot of love. Yes, I'm paying more, but I know I'm getting really good quality and a longevity of a machine.
For what I do, Elegoo's are fine. Jason experiments with resins.
Yep.
I'm a caveman. I still use the standard gray. But you know what? It works for me. And one of the things I tell people is what works for you might not work for the next guy. My settings might not work on your machine. They might work on your machine. It's such a depends where you live, depends on your temperature, all of that. So it's I've had satisfactory results for me and people I print for, and that's good. I've seen that Frozen Mega 8K, and I was like, that's a really nice machine. And for the size, and the price really isn't horrible because I know it's come down quite a bit.
Yep.
I just don't have a need for a printer that big myself. But if I did, I would try one. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to trying.
I'm out of space. I have no room for anything else at all, anywhere.
I'm like Jason. I run the Jupiter. I've also got a Jupiter SE, and I like the SE actually a little better than the Jupiter. But it's because I don't like the enclosure. Jason likes the enclosure. I don't like the enclosure.
So I'm going to throw myself under the bus because it's the one question you haven't asked me is, Mike, how many 3D printers do you have?
Oh yeah, how many? That's a good question. How many do you have?
31.
What the hell?
I have 20 FDM and 11 resin.
Wow.
But you also saw what I bring to Wonderfest every year. And now I really challenged myself because I bought a second table this next year.
Oh, okay.
So now, granted, part of that was so I could have the pack and play. For my newborn to be there because we're going to corrupt her early. But also, what I was learning, what I was doing, and what I was seeing people buy really piqued my environment because I want to expand. Like Babylon 5 is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
And I've been working on a Nova Dreadnought because there's a few 3D models out there. They're okay, but they're all the Omega Destroyer. They're not the Nova, the ship with nothing but rails of guns.
Yeah.
And just the White Star. I mean, there are a few models out there. I've never gotten a single one to print well. So, and that one is testing me because it's organic curve. So it's really trying for me. It's not just boxes or circles. There's a curve to it that I'm sitting there. I have to walk away from. I pull that one up like maybe once a weekend, play with it for 10 minutes, and then leave. Because I'm like, I'm done.
What software are you using to sculpt?
So for ships, I mainly start in Fusion 360. But I also use ZBrush.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people will say, "Hey, I have this model and this model, but I want it this way." So I'll use ZBrush to make changes to organic stuff. Because if it's just like reposing or something like that, that's relatively easy in ZBrush. There are a few other easier programs. But I'm still the guy going back to Mesh Mixer to cut models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just started exploring. I'm probably going to butcher this name. Lychee Slicer.
Lychee.
Lychee. I just started exploring that because I didn't know it did filament too. I didn't know it did both. And actually, I have my first resin print going from that software. I've always been a Cura and Shinto box, and now I've got Bamboo and Orca Slicer, and I'm playing with all these toys, and I'm like, this is a lot easier than what I was doing.
I bought the Lychee Pro for one feature, and that feature is the blockout feature. So you can, if you're hollowing a model out, but it's got a narrow little spot that you don't want, you can block that out so it doesn't hollow when you hollow the rest of the model. I love it.
How is that not standard? I don't understand. It's
come in so handy.
So like Shinto Box Pro, I don't have that option.
Right, me either, and that's what I use.
It drives me insane. It's been one of the things that really has bothered me from where I stopped hollowing models. I just accepted the cost because I didn't want a thin breakable part because I do everything with a minimum 5mm wall just so it can survive. It's got to go from Savannah, Georgia to Louisville in tubs, riding in my Honda Pilot across some of the worst interstates. It's got to get on Highway 95.
Yeah.
We're lucky. And then it's got to go over the mountains. So we've got pressure changes and everything else playing with it. Well, I'm just like when I left St. Louis and I moved here in Savannah, it took me 3 or 4 months to get a good print.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because I had to change all my settings. Now, granted, in St. Louis, everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to die from humidity out there." Guess what, St. Louis, you're still 100% humidity most of the time.
Yeah.
I
like
came
today
out,
here. Holy crap.
So today here was 89 degrees.
It was 100 here today in Chicago.
I grew up.
Was it 100? Did it make 100?
It was it was 99 on my car.
I don't know. I was working in my garage. It was 95, and it said it felt like 105 outside.
So I grew up on the dairy farm where you wear jeans every day.
Yeah.
You're always this. I moved out here and said, "Yep, I'm wearing shorts."
Where did you grow up at? In St. Louis or near?
I grew up in a small town called Rolla, Missouri, just about 100 miles southwest of St. Louis.
Okay.
So, but my family's always kind of been centered around St. Louis. Okay. So,
but Pete, you're right about St. Louis. I had a friend of mine who was working in Gillespie, Illinois for Charlie McGrady. And that's 50 miles north of St. Louis, basically. It was 3 hours south of me. And I went down to get him. Now, granted, it was hot and humid when I left my house. I drove straight through and got there. And when I got out of the car, I'm like, what the fuck planet am I on? Because it's the humidity. Just driving that 3 hours south was amazingly worse. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it was bad where we were, but the farther south you go, and then last year when I went to see my sister in Florida in August, oh my God.
So the perk for me is if you take a straight line, you can be in the ocean in 10 miles. So I have all that ocean air coming in that keeps me in this nice little bubble that is quite comfortable.
I get the lake breeze that smells like blood and ammunition. That's kind of what I get.
Well, it's one of those things too. If you ever have the opportunity, you got to get to Savannah.
We were supposed to go last year and it fell through because of some other stuff. But have you seen any ghosts since you've been there?
Oh, here we go.
I have not, but I live south in Richmond Hill near Fort McAllister.
Okay.
So I don't live in Savannah proper.
Okay.
But if you're coming to Savannah, do it in October.
Okay.
Because those haunted ghost tours, those tour guides go all out. Awesome. They are in the glow in the dark paint. And they pull out all the stops for that to be a memorable tour.
Well, let's go over some of the stuff you got coming out now before we got to go. So first up, you have a Kirk. So let's talk about that one.
So this is one of two Kirks that we are bringing forward. This one is coming out for pre-order starting, I believe, September 15th is when we're starting the pre-order for Kirk. And it'll be a month-long pre-order before it comes standard. Now, if you do the pre-order, you save a little bit of money because the price usually goes up $20-25 from the pre-order price. And it does it for all my models. But Kirk, we have the first one. We have the green shirt, and there's a picture painted by Brett Avadas that did this. He got one at Wonderfest because one of the things I do is I bring a couple of my prototypes to Wonderfest and sell them to let people paint them, and we get the painted pictures, which just looks awesome. Brett
it does look really
awesome
nice.
job, but you don't see a lot of Captain Kirk with that green side slung shirt.
No, you don't.
And that was kind of and all credit to Joe. This was his idea. And
Mr. Hudson, good job.
I've fallen in love with this model. This is probably the third iteration of this one, but it is going up for pre-order later in the year, possibly the beginning of 2025. We have, if you remember, the Trial of Tribbles, where he is in the Tribble pile just looking disgusted with a Tribble in his hand. We've also done that.
All right, cool.
So that one will be coming out here later. Working on a few problems with the base and the model. So Kirk is one of them. And you got to pay homage to Kirk, and doing a good Kirk is hard.
Scott loves his William Shatner, so he is familiar with every freckle on the man's body.
Look, the man made eye contact with me, okay? Telling you. And when he did, something moved. I'm just saying. Okay?
I knew it was coming.
I'm just saying.
So you got Tonto coming as well, huh?
So last year we did Lone Ranger. He was our big one in 2022 to 2023. And people loved him. I just had a gentleman purchase. We offer 4 iterations of Lone Ranger, and I had a gentleman just go through. He only purchased 3. He could only get 3 because he could only afford 3 of them. And I was like, "You made such a big purchase. Here's the 4th part." We're doing the same thing with Tonto. Tonto is coming up for pre-order starting this Labor Day weekend. He will be on pre-order till October 15th. We are doing the 1/6 scale figure, and we're going to do the quarter scale bust, and we're also going to do the smaller, I think it's 120 millimeter figure and bust. We're matching what we did with Lone Ranger because Tonto, he's got a match. So those will be coming for pre-order at a reduced price. And then once the pre-order ends, they'll go up to their full price because I don't know about you guys, but resin costs have been going whoop.
Yep.
And unfortunately, inflation is starting to even impact us. For a while, resin and filament didn't change, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" Now we're starting to see the impact on that. And Tonto, I mean, if you bought the Lone Ranger, you need a Tonto. Lone Ranger is still available. I think I have 5 left. And Tonto is only going to be a limited run here in the beginning. I'm only planning on doing 10.
Oh,
So if you want one, definitely get into that pre-order when it goes up on Labor Day weekend. It'll be right on the website of rise3dbuilds.com. But definitely you want to grab it. And if you're a Tonto fan, we had 2 at Wonderfest. Neither one of them came home with me, which showed me, we're in the right move here with this one.
Good. And then Ahsoka, right?
Ahsoka Tano. Now, this one is based on the Ahsoka show. So it's the older Ahsoka. This is just a straight bust. We do have a figure coming with her lightsabers. I just need to go out to get a printer open enough that I can actually print the prototype. And she's been up for pre-order. Her pre-order is about to come to an end, which her price will go from 80 up to 100 at the end of that pre-order. So definitely, if you're interested in that one, definitely grab that one out there on the site. We do have more coming that we don't have pictures of. We've been working on the Big Bang Theory crew. That'll be coming out.
Oh,
I
think Joe sent me a picture of that. That's cool.
Well, we did them in their Halloween costume.
That's what I saw. Yeah, that's the one I saw. Okay.
We have all 5 of them in their Halloween costumes, with Raj as Aquaman. We even got the little seahorsey. When we sculpted in those 5 busts, we Darkness Shadows, Angelique. We released her 1/8 scale figure last year. We're going to be making a 1/6 scale available, plus her bust, and we have Barnabas coming. So definitely, I mean, we did Angelique. We got to have Barnabas.
Yep.
It's already designed. I just need to refine the prototype a little bit. We're doing a bust and a figure. We've got both of them already done. I just actually got to print them, clean them, and make photos and send us that to Joe for paint. So we have our own Wolfman. We have so much stuff. I've gotten so far behind. We're designing faster than I can print it. So
it's a good problem to have, in a way.
It is, because if all else fails, I can go, hey, who wants? I'll send you 10 bottles of resin. Print this one. Print me this many. It's a good problem to have because design times can take forever.
Yeah.
But the designer we work with the organic stuff, he turns stuff around really fantastically. Ever since we started working with them, we can see the growth. Joe found a diamond right there, and cool. I love working with him. He creates such cool stuff. And then the starships. I don't want to give away my secrets for Wonderfest this coming year.
All right, yeah, don't. There's some surprises coming, everybody. Be ready. New starships.
I mean, I'm diving off. Alien is kind of big right now.
Okay.
So I've been looking at some of the older ships.
Okay.
Looking at some higher definition, kind of refine them, making, how kind of make this sharper and look, modernize the older model.
Okay.
Babylon 5, like I mentioned, is definitely on my hit list because, what was it? Revell only made the Star Fury and the Station. That's all we got in official model kits those few years ago, which I still have them. They're in the garage. But that Babylon 5 was keen.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. For people that get a hold of your stuff, give me your website, give you the YouTube channel. Best place to find you on Facebook, like all your links, all your info.
Yep. Rise 3D Builds is YouTube. Rise3dbuilds.com is our website. We have our group page of Rise 3D Builds. If you do want to become a member of our Discord, go out there and join our YouTube membership. That gets you into the Discord that you can actually ping me with direct questions about 3D printing. And basically, I'm out on Instagram, Rise 3D Builds, TikTok. Every once in a while, I post over there. But I only post over there when it's a really big fail. uh, but yeah, we post stuff out. Sometimes I do take private commissions. I'm kind of getting away from that. I want to focus on my own stuff because Wonderfest will be here before I know it.
Oh my.
It snuck up on me this last year, and you could tell it too.
Yeah, it's
because I didn't feel. I honestly didn't feel my presentation this year was up to the snuff of what I did the first year. So
got a lot of stuff. You were good.
But I went home with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
You weren't alone. So don't
Yeah.
feel bad in that. You weren't alone.
Again, that's that economy. We're in a disposable income
yes
profession. So and that economy, when it hurts everybody else choosing dinner or a model, please choose dinner. The models will be there. We have them. Go get dinner. Come talk to us next month.
Or a doctor's appointment. In our group, if it's you between a model and a doctor's appointment, go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
We've lost too many of our friends because they didn't go to the doctor.
Yes.
And we've lost a lot of good people this last year. So definitely cheers up for them. Let's remember the great modelers we lost this last year.
Yep, for sure. Thanks, Mike. We'll see you next time. We'll see you at Wonderfest. And seriously, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, that was Mike of Rise 3D Builds. Check them out everywhere. Links will be down below. Thanks for joining us, Mike. We deeply appreciate it. We'll have you back. We had a really nice long conversation after the interview too about some other stuff, 3D printing wise, that would be more boring again for people that aren't into it. So just gives you an idea how things work. It's really cool to see what he's doing and how he's doing it. So good stuff. All right, emails, voicemails, and corrections. We have no corrections. I don't think I screwed anything up really bad enough to warrant a correction.
That no one's told us about.
Yeah, that's true. We have a voicemail. I have not listened to this voicemail yet. I just downloaded it and stuck it in here. So I'm going to press play and see what happens. It's 17 seconds. So here we go.
Yes, I was wondering, when is the diaphragm Daphne coming out and Captain Condom, the cartoon characters that Scott Johansson enjoys very much? And no, Scott can't spoon King Kong tonight. Goodbye.
It sounds like same guy. It's pretty good though. Have you ever spooned King Kong?
No.
Do you have a King Kong pillow? Bed sheet?
No.
You never had King Kong sheets or anything?
No, why would I?
I think I had 77 Kong sheets or something.
See, 77, you can call it Kong all you want, but it's not. Okay. So
all right.
Just get that out of your filthy head.
I have a really cool email, Scott.
Okay.
And it's going to involve you for part of it.
I'm not doing nothing.
More work.
Great.
I like saying this guy's name. It makes me feel like home.
Salsa.
So that makes me feel very South Side. Jim Marcinkowski. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Marcinkowski. That is a Chicago Grabowski name. He should be living over here on 111th Pulaski, eating some sausage. It's a great name. I love it. So, Jim, here we go. Hi, guys. I don't know if you remember me, but we met at Wonderfest. It was a real pleasure talking to you both. I was a junior high industrial arts teacher in Kingston, New York for 31 years. And I also worked in the foundry at the Chevrolet plant in Tonawanda, New York during the summers of my college years. So I feel a connection to you both. Wow. It's like our love child.
I do remember talking to him.
Okay. I started modeling at age 12 and have kept at it and on and off for my whole life. I'm 74 now and I'm probably a lot older, but not wiser than most in our hobby. I have no formal art training like you, Jason. I simply have picked up a lot over the years and have gotten a lot of help from my friend who is a high school art teacher and my wife who is an artist. I have to say your show is excellent for picking up tricks and techniques. I enjoy them immensely, as does my wife, who is not a modeler but finds you two very entertaining. Oh boy. We're sorry.
Well, I am.
Yeah. I live near Scotty from Alternative Images, and Joe Ladati is a good friend of mine and frequent movie companion. He lives about 15 miles from me. I've been to many, but not all Wonderfests, and went to Jersey Fest and Resentopia over the years. I also was part of the crew for the 93 and 95 Famous Monster conventions in Crystal City and Glendale, California. I met a lot of celebs at both and visited Forey Ackerman's mansion. Holy crap. So you can see, as they say, been around the block a few times. I promised to send you some kits to give away on your shows. I have been tardy getting back to you on that, but family crises and some medical problems caused me to put aside a lot of things for a while. I'm back on track now, so I started to look over what I have. Offhand, I have a Dark Horse King Kong, Bela Lugosi's Broadway Dracula, Randy Bowen's Kongzilla, Polar Lights Godzilla, and Earthbound Studios' I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. I also have a Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein, which you can either give away or, Jason, you offered to buy it for yourself. If you want it, Jason, you can have it for free. I don't want any payment for it. I have a bunch of others, but I haven't had time to search through my boxes. Been busy doing house remodeling. Joys of homeowning. Oh my God, it's the worst. So if you want any of these, just let me know. You're welcome to them. If you don't, no problem. Sorry if this is long. I babble. Take care, Jim. sci-fire71@gmail.com. I should probably take out his email address. Don't send him any emails. So Scott, what did I talk to you about when you talked about when we had the last What's in the Bin and you broke out your Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein? What did I say was it would be a pretty good idea?
Do a dual build or something. Or
We were going to do the Wrightson Frankenstein project and figure out how to make it look good from where it is. From the warping to just building that kit as a series of videos for the show. So guess what Jim sent me?
Uh-oh.
I have a Wrightson Frankenstein. So we don't have to ruin yours anymore. I have not opened this yet. I haven't done anything. And I told Jim, because Scott, what was our one rule that we set forth on this show? Way back when.
That we would not take
we would not take kits or profit from the show from like free stuff ever. So I thought, and now it's happened, and I'll get to that in a second. But he wrapped this up really nice. Oh my God, it's like
that was a Barry Manilow box set.
That actually wouldn't be too bad, really. Oh my God. Dude, industrial wrapping. So it is indeed a Wrightson Frankenstein. Ugh. Ta-da! So Jim, I promised Jim that the only way I would accept this is if we did a video series on it, of building it from the way it is in this box. It doesn't even, man, if he hasn't, no, I think he might have opened it and taped it, but this box is in damn good condition.
Especially since it came in the mail.
I know. So we're not even going to I'm not going to open this now because we're going to shoot a video somehow of opening it and looking at the parts like we did before. And then I'll if it's a lot of warping and we have to figure out a way to make it look good, we need some resin from you to maybe do it and figure out how to pin. We'll go through and see what it is. I thought it would be a really cool video to do on building a Wrightson Frankenstein. And then I'll do the painting video for it as well. Deal?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So that's what we're going to do. We got to write. Thank you, Jim, so very much. I think this is going to be awesome. So
Absolutely.
Now to the two other people that I have projects for. So I'm still planning on doing the Cocaine Bear out of that Aurora scenes, prehistoric scenes. And I'm still planning on painting the Phantom of the Opera, the Mask of the Red Death. The problem with the Red Death is that it was in the last AFM, or the one that came out, and it was I don't want to I didn't want it to look like it was riding the coattails of that. So I wanted to put some time. And so now I think it's enough time, and I'm going to do it. I didn't want to look like we were copying off that. So that's awesome. I'm so excited for this. And I'm not even going to open it till we open it together to see how warped it actually is.
I'd like to compare them. Which one's warped?
And we could do that too. We could look at, I think that would be interesting too, to look at the parts, see which one's worse, parts are better. If they came out the same, man, it's going to be fun. So thank you, Jim. And again, thank you for your service as a teacher as well. So awesome. That's the show, everybody. That's all I got. We have the barbecue coming up. Episode 100 next. We have some giveaways. Remember, you need to know the name of the bird that BG spoke to win that kit. And then you need the Raven Nevermore in the comments to win the Bard. So thank you, everyone who participated in this episode. Appreciate it. We've come a long way. We are exiting double digits into triple digits, which seems very weird.
But I only have 2 hands.
I know. I don't know what we're going to do. Start using feet?
We're going to have to go Roman numerals. Like
we'll have to use your feet. We're going to use your feet. We can use my feet?
Oh, you're in your nasty feet. Look at that.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you episode 100.
Like a whale in water.